Thank you so much for being here. Let's get to the panel. We're going to start with the longest running guest out of Baseball Town. This gentleman has done more Baseball Towns than any other guest we've had. Nick Paleolog from Blue Jays Today!
No trivia this time?
No trivia this time.
All right.
You're
We're safe. We're good.
You're
Yeah.
free and clear. Next up, this gentleman, a newbie, brand new to Baseball Town, a fresh face for you all. Please make some noise and show some love for Tyson Shushkowicz, everybody, from Blue Jays Nation. No. Last and certainly not least, this gentleman, a regular on Baseball Town. This man, you might recognize him from MLB.com, analyst and Blue Jays insider extraordinaire. He has a new book available to everyone June 2nd, but it's available for pre-order right now. Make some noise for Keegan Matheson, everybody!
Drank my other beer really quickly backstage.
That's impressive. That's the smart
Oh, I
way
get
to
the
do
table seat, baby.
You get the table seat.
There we go.
That's right. So, let's start with this. Day game. How was the Open Dome, Keeks?
Oh, breezy, beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we
Beautiful day for baseball
It was
outside of the
good.
game.
It was good. And Tyson saw this. We have a lot of more slender-built writers than me. I'm thinking Gregor Chisholm
Like
from
me.
The Star, Ben Nicholson Smith from Sportsnet. God love them, but they're a little more slender, and they were bundled up in coats and jackets. I was happy as hell. It is a different stadium, and man, you feel like you're above ground again. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Keegan made a point. You can't wear a coat.
I got a little angry when
You started it off.
Tyson, Blue Jays Nation. Just read your article about Alejandro Kirk here
Sorry to hear that.
today. He's being modest. It's actually an excellent article, and it dives in nicely here. We're going to talk Alejandro Kirk in a second. I did want to say, great article, and where can everyone find your writing?
At Blue Jays Nation.
Boom. That easy, everybody.
Yeah.
Last and not least, Nick, always good to see you, my friend. I know you've done more of these shows than anyone, and it's kind of a slog right now for content, correct?
It's tough, folks. I mean, the Toronto Blue Jays are effectively as mid could be. And you know what? Like, that's better than last year, but kind of boring. So, yeah, we're trying to make it more entertaining.
So, Nick, what do you think? We were talking about this right before I brought you guys up here. It really feels like this Toronto Blue Jays fan base does not want to get hurt again and is trepidatious to jump on board. What do you think needs to happen for the fans to be fully back on board?
Well, first things first, I think that everybody here needs to give themselves a pat on the back.
Yes!
Because, listen, you are the diehards.
Yes!
And when we do inevitably get hurt this season, like, you're going to be there, but we will also be there with you. I think that, large in part, you have a massive grouping of Toronto Blue Jays fans that are looking at this squad right now and seeing a team that is better than last year, but still a squad that is ultimately underwhelming as a whole when speaking about some of the big dogs in the MLB, right? We're going to have Detroit come in. They are really damn good at baseball right now. You know, like, can we compete with them? Let me tell you, if in the next 6 games, because it goes Detroit and then it goes San Diego, if in the next 6 games Toronto wins both of those series in dominant fashion, the offense comes to life, the starting pitchers are phenomenal, the bullpen, no bullpen blow-ups. If that happens, then that group that I'm talking about, Ryan, that group that you're bringing up, they are going to jump on. But if not, then we're going to be where we are right now.
Tyson, oddly enough, even though this team does mimic Jays teams of last year in 2023 with the lack of scoring out of the gate, it feels a little more hopeful to me Am I off base on that? I know that in the last couple series we've seen them start to score runs. It does look like they're hitting the ball harder. I know that this isn't necessarily translating into wins and losses right now. But are you more hopeful for this team to actually be able to hold its weight when it comes to the offense, unlike last year in 2023?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ups and downs with this season in particular, right? And when you look back to last season, I think Blue Jays fans were pretty upset with how the offseason unfolded. You know, the pivots that the team made when, you know, Rodriguez is your biggest kind of signing of this season, offseason, and the miss out on Ohtani, right? Like there's so much fallout from all of that, and then to see the veteran guys that they picked up just not perform. Obviously, this season coming in, you got a guy like Santander. It's like, oh yeah, this guy's the home run hitter, right? Like this is the bat we needed. Do we need one more?
Rumor has it.
He's coming
What
around.
What are you laughing about over there? It's May. He does well in May.
Oh,
So on paper, this team is better, right? And we've seen glimpses of them being able to put together runs, right? And it was so neat to see at the start of the Angels series, right? It was like, oh, the world's on fire, right? Like, and then all of a sudden, the last game of the series, they figure out a way to win it at the end there. And then in Seattle, right? Like, you basically have to tell Addison Barger every game you're in Seattle, right? Like that's how it is, right? And I think there is hope there, right? Like, 'cause again, one of the benefits too is the Blue Jays aren't the only team that isn't having a fun time in the AL East, right? Like the Baltimore Orioles have no idea what's going on out there, right? The Yankees are obviously doing well. The Red Sox have their faults. Tampa Bay Rays have their faults, right? And so I think the Blue Jays there is hope there because there is some wiggle room to work with. The problem is that we saw them win some close games, right? Which are boring, right? Home runs are fun, right? 2-1 is not fun. But at the end of the day, we just need to see some of these players kind of come around and find some consistency, right? We need to see, some players find a rhythm at the plate that makes these games more exciting, but also just not as close as they have to, right? Like that's why the bullpen burned out, right? Like Jimmy Garcia and Jeff Hoffman's arms and Brendan Little, like their arms are falling off because it's 3-1, 2-1, and that's just not sustainable, right? So there is hope, right? There just needs to be a little bit more consistency.
Keegs, it's interesting when you look at the team and you look at, let's say, the first game of the Rays series, right? And they were down. And they came back. They came all the way back. And this is one thing I will give this team credit for in the last week or two is that when they're down, I don't necessarily feel like, well, might as well shut this off. Still not a win, though. And they still wind up kind of falling apart there. Tony Taters, man. Like, it really feels like he is the black hole right now in this offense. Are you starting to hit a worried point? And I don't even mean for the length of his contract. I think at some point he's going to look like the Anthony Santander he's supposed to. But at this point in May, I mean, he's supposed to be hitting dingers all over the place, and that has not been the case. Do you move him down in the lineup?
Soon. Honestly, that's a cop-out answer. But I've written it probably too many times of just listen. April, he's never hot in April. Well, shit, April counts. I mean, my lord. And I know that April has never been Anthony Santander's month. And I know that he only missed a home run by a few feet today, but it was a few feet away from being 6 feet instead of 3 feet foul. I don't care. So they need Santander because he's killing this lineup right now. We saw that in the big moment that he had when he just missed it late in the game today. And you know who Santander is, and I think he's fully established as a player type right now, but the problem with him when he is not hitting home runs is that there's not much else that's happening. And he might hit you 35 home runs, but he's going to hit 236. And that really leaves some gaps. Reminds me a lot of when we saw Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in Toronto. That when he will heat up, Jesus, it'll be beautiful. Yeah. It really will be. It'll be a laser show. But in the middle, now I think he takes cleaner routes to balls than Lourdes did maybe back in the day. But we've seen some of those shortcomings as well. And especially if you're going to be kind of a DH, who I think he should be, you need to hit. It's one job. And at this point, the Blue Jays need one of the big guys to step up. Like, if it's not going to be Vladdy, and he had the home run today, which was great, but if Vladdy's not going to be a 950, 1,000 OPS guy, you need Santander to be doing something. And that's worrying at this point. You need them to blow some games wide open. We're seeing it from Varsho. We're seeing it a bit from Bo Bichette, which is great. We're seeing it from goddamn Nathan Lucas. Like I was off. I was wrong about Nathan Lucas. Like he is more than a fourth, fifth outfielder. And credit to him, man. Like it's amazing. But eventually, the guys who you're paying a shitload of money to need to do something. And it's the new Moneyball, really. But it hasn't happened yet. And man, if Santander does get hot, I'm towing the John Schneider line here. He will get hot. It's coming, but it's got to happen real soon because he's supposed to be the guy that changes the whole lineup.
I gotta jump in on this one too.
Because it's the first year of all the deals for free agents. Yusei Kikuchi didn't do great in his first year.
Gooch.
Anthony Santander not having a great start. Jose Barrios, first year of the extension, right? Go through a couple of... They just need a year.
Well, listen, and to your point, sure. I have no reservations about Anthony Santander's deal, his contract. What I still think that was a great move, and I do believe that he is going to be a solid player for the Toronto Blue Jays. But soon is not good enough for me. I think that he's got to move down the lineup yesterday. Yeah. And you can probably speculate on this a little bit more. Let me be very clear. This is speculation that I'm about to go on right here, so bear with me. I was watching the game today, and seeing the at-bats from Anthony Santander, just the look on his face, it feels like he's fighting something. He looks lost.
Right
now. It feels like and that doesn't mean that I don't believe in him, I don't believe in the talent, but it feels like he's fighting something, and I just think that it'd be better suited, not only just for the Toronto Blue Jays as a team, but for him, if he fights that thing down there at the 6th spot or, lower than somewhere else other than batting third.
So, Nick, and listen, I've spent the last month basically every podcast doing a George Springer apology. I'm sorry, George.
Yes, you should.
I can't believe I thought you were washed. I'm an idiot.
Look at this. Average in Springer.
But I will say this. Do you, Nick, feel like maybe a swapperoo of Springer and Santander is worth experimenting with? Like, how comfortable are you with Springer at this point in the season to start putting more and more pressure on him?
So, honestly, I'm not that comfortable. And it's less about Santander, but I just think that Springer is really succeeding in the role that he's in right now. And I think that sometimes we have this tendency to immediately throw people that are doing well into positions that, they might not necessarily be ready for. And I'm not saying that Springer isn't ready to get moved up in this lineup, because obviously he's seen every spot under the sun and been in every position. But I like what he's doing. And you're right. I didn't expect this. So the fact that we're getting anything at all, I'm like, great, this is awesome. Let's keep it that way. I do think, though, that Anthony Santander needs to be moved down in some capacity. Does that mean moving somebody up as hot as an Addison Barger? Does that mean,
Nathan Lucas?
Fuck, I mean, wow.
Tyson, it's funny you said that.
Straws, but
because
yes,
I was literally just about to ask you, Tyson, what do you think of a lineup that looks Nathan Lucas going first, Bo Bichette in the 2-hole?
I will die on the George Springer should be leading off.
Okay. So Tyson, I like that. So Tyson, explain to me then how you would view this lineup 1 through 5 if you were to set it right now.
If I was to set it, and I'm just going to assume, let's say a right-handed pitcher is on the mound. Springer leads off. Bichette's in the 2. Guerrero's in the 3. Santander still in the 4. And then in the 5, you can put either Varsho or Kirk.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because we've seen Bichette be an on-base machine kind of guy, right? The power kind of isn't there out of the gate. We've seen him kind of get a little bit there lately. But one of the things that makes him a really great hitter is he's super aggressive, right? And one of the things that I kind of live on internally is not having a super aggressive guy leading off, because you kind of got to set the tone, right? And if he swings at 3 pitches and immediately strikes out, like, you're not setting a really good tone, versus George Springer, who has the experience in the leadoff spot. He has a bit of power. He's got a little, hits a double to the gap. And Bichette can do that too, right? But when we entered this season, like Schneider said, like Bichette's not guaranteed to be at the top of the spot like the entire time. Like things can move around, right? And I think Springer, and it's not because Bichette's doing a bad job. I think it's just because Springer has just come out of the gate so hot that he could really set the tone, especially since Santander hasn't been doing it in that 3 spot, right? And I know we've seen him kind of shuffle around a little bit, and again, maybe he moved Dalton Varsho up a little bit because he's got a bit of a power bat right now. Like, he's not hitting for average, but his OPS is crazy because he's just smacking home runs, right? But I think George Springer has earned a bit of an opportunity to move back up there just to kind of give a little bit of breather to that 3 spot that Santander's not living up to.
I like that. I like that. I can see that. My problem, it's so funny because I want Springer to be the leadoff guy. I do. But I'm so hesitant to do anything after the last year and move him and make him do anything other than what he's doing right now. I almost feel like just leave him and let him be. Let him succeed where he is. So, Kiggs, my question to you is then, Bo Bichette was just mentioned. He's starting to hit 50 hits on the season. He's starting to show some power. Obviously, if this team is a playoff team, we need more out of Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
Is there more in there?
Needs to be, Jesus. And whether it's as a leadoff guy, because I'm a big don't fuck with happy guy, and I think George Springer's happy.
Yeah.
And when I think of where Bo fits in a lineup, I've always found him more of a good number 2 hitter. I just think the Blue Jays don't have a leadoff hitter, period.
Yeah.
And so this is more of a
Look at us all agreeing on that.
Hey, God damn, it happens
Chandler
But I think this is more of a Ross Atkins front office issue than a John Schneider making the lineup issue. And I just don't think they've had a leadoff hitter for a while. And there's the hope of Allen Rowe. There's the hope of Will Wagner. Both of them are in AAA. So at this point, Bo to me is still a good number 2 hitter, a number 3, a guy who can use that aggression and blitz a hitter ideally when someone has reached base. In the leadoff spot, I still kind of like it. It's not a terrible fit when you really blitz a guy. We've seen a bit of the power. The home run to right center in Seattle was important because opposite right center power is very important for Bo. But I don't think that the 25, 28 home run power is there anymore. If it is, it would be a surprise at this point. I'd love to see it, but it would be a surprise right now, and that's tough. He is, for me, one of the most interesting valuation cases in all of baseball. Like, is he going to, he could sign a Willy Adames close to $200 million contract, or he could sign a 1-year pillow deal this offseason. Like, his range is wild at this point. And I'm always going to believe in him. I'm always going to bet on him because I've never gotten to the stadium earlier than him. I see what he does. I see how seriously he takes it. I've seen him beat himself up over it, too, which is a big factor. I think it's a real factor. But right now, he's kind of stuck being a leadoff guy because as tempting as George is to go to leadoff, I see a guy who's happy and enjoying himself. And I know that I should be yabbering about his bat speed or some bullshit like that, but whatever. George is someone with more energy than maybe any baseball player I've ever been around. And it's constant. I've never seen a man sing and dance so much in my life, Jesus. And he's always going. He's always moving, shaking, and vibrating, and yelling. And John Schneider's joked about this a lot, but like Dalton Varsho was like George's little brother.
Yeah.
So like when we're in the Blue Jays clubhouse, it's just Dalton, like all day. He is constant.
Meerkat.
Constant. And George right now seems like he has a healthy place to channel that energy. But when he's been struggling, all of that energy can be really bad for you. But right now, I feel like he's happy, he's content, it's working for him, and something is making sense. And which is why I don't want to bump him around Bo, because George is an alien right now, and God, I did not see it coming. I remember a few days before the end of spring training, and I remember it vividly because it was hot as shit that day. We're at Bradenton or one of those big wide open stadiums, but I remember going up to George, and he was hitting 0-0-1 in spring training. And I remember walking up to him, and I like to be very direct with players. I was like, George, I gotta be honest with you, dude. And he cut me off. He's like, writing a story about how I suck. And I was like, yeah, man. Like, honestly, like that's what I'm writing right now. Like, it's best you know that. And I'm stunned he's here. Like, it's the most impressive thing I've seen all season. Like, it blows me away when he's gone.
It is. It's incredible.
It's amazing.
He was horrible.
He was absolutely
He looked 50. It's
just
training.
brutal. Like, to the point, and I said it off the top, right? I literally thought he was washed up. I thought he was done. I thought that we were kind of on the hook for his last $50 million. I wouldn't have even been surprised if they let him go.
We were playing
midway through the season.
is Rodin going to play over spring
Yeah.
game?
Yeah, for sure. So it is really good to see this resurgence. And another guy on this team, and my goodness, is this lineup ever better when Dalton Varsho is in it. And he's starting to show power. He's got 5 home runs in 10 games. Nick, is this for real?
Oh man, I really hope so. I really, really hope so, guys. I've never, ever since the trade was made and there was so much conversation about, oh, we lost that trade because Moreno and Gray, all this stuff.
That trade.
Look
We
up
very
Moreno's
well might
OPS.
We very well might have. For me, I came to the conclusion about a year ago that Dalton Varsho is an exceptional defender, and if we get anything at all out of the baseball bat, that's good enough for me. And the fact that we are getting as much as we are getting right now, after coming back from injury too, I mean, it is so hard to come back from injury while people are already going, get in your rhythm. Just like the guy looks like he never left, and in fact, it looks like he's better now than he's ever been. So I don't want to promise any of you that this is for real, that we can count on this for the rest of the season. I'm along for the ride as much as you guys are, but I am loving what I'm seeing in Adult Varsho right now.
And that's what I love about May 15th in a baseball season is you really start to get a good picture of the surprises you didn't see coming, right? Like the players that you're just like, holy shit, what is going on here? And the one spot on this team that I kind of had circled as a possible weakness going into this season, and I am eating those words because it has been probably the most strong, sturdy, consistent spot on this team, is catcher. And Tyson, I know you just wrote about Alejandro Kirk. I mean, Tyler Heineman as well has been absolutely incredible. 34-year-old journeyman who spent most of his time in the minors has been incredible. So Tyson, can you break down what you've seen from Alejandro Kirk for us, please?
Yeah, I mean, it's just he's such a special player, and I think when it was interesting to see over the years, like you talked about Moreno, we saw the Blue Jays trade away Jansen. It was like, okay, well, we're putting all of our money behind Kirk, right? And heading into the season, it was like, oh, is he going to be able to handle the workload? Is he going to be able to, just so many question marks, and he's really risen to the occasion, right? And it was funny the other day there, like Alejandro Kirk, right, won the game for the Blue Jays yesterday, big time, right? And I think it was interesting to see because obviously the home run sticks out, right? But another key part was when he threw out Chandler Simpson, right? And what was key about that was he threw him out, and then right after, I think it was Cameron Meisner, whoever, who hit a double, right? And it's like, that would have been a 1-0 game right out the hop, right? And that's big, that's huge, right? And it was Kirk who was able to throw out one of the fastest guys in baseball, right? Hey, I know we have the air, right? And this is what it is, and I think that was dumb, but that's me. But anyways, there's a reason the Blue Jays were so keen on keeping him around, right? And the way he carries himself, the way he conducts interviews, like he holds himself up high. And yesterday, John Schneider was just peppered with Kirk questions, right? And the key thing that he kept coming back to was like, this guy knows his skills, and he just always gets better at the things that he needs to get better at. And again, it was a question about his throwing, right? 2 years ago, he wasn't throwing that well. He was a great blocker, he was a great framer, he was hitting the ball well, but his throwing wasn't great. And then last year, he was throwing really well, right? And then this year, he's even improved upon that, and now the bat's coming around. So we're seeing a really honed-in version of Kirk, and I think what's impressive is just how he's kind of being that leading charge behind the plate, and then whatever you get from Tyler Heineman is fantastic, right? And you're seeing that, right? And when Kirk took that backswing to the back there, it's like, oh crap, right? Like if Kirk's down, like holy, what do we do? It's almost like panic mode, right? And the
Right, we're like, oh no, our catcher that's batting 350 is gonna play more. No, I'm kidding. I'm just
right? And it's one of those things though. He's just such a leader behind the plate, And another comment by Schneider was like, yesterday he caught Chris Bassett, right? And Bassett's got so many pitches out there that it's unfathomable. He then had to block Brendan Little's curveball, and then he has a game plan. Then he goes up there and hits a home run off of the Rays starter, whose name I can never pronounce properly. Middle fastball, and he hits it over the wall, right? Like, those are just such key factors that make Kirk so valuable to this team. And it's great to see him succeeding on both sides of the game, when in the past we've seen him kind of either one side and not the other, and then the defense and not the bat, and then the bat and not the defense, and now he's kind of putting it all together, and we're seeing those good strides. And there should just be a bobblehead day all the time for him, because he just hits those walk-offs.
bobble arm. Go ahead.
Can I get a showing of hands right here? And I need you guys to really be honest, because I know there is a grouping of individuals out there, a large grouping actually, who here doesn't like Alejandro Kirk?
He just double plays too much. He double too much.
He does.
It is his biggest downfall.
He does.
It's not perfect.
He does, and I
He's not a base
certainly cannot defend the sprint speed. I cannot defend the base running. I cannot defend anything like
Feeling
that.
better.
But just be very careful when you stand up, because I'm about to drop some knowledge here.
It's,
All right,
it's Taylor.
I know.
Oh.
Listen, Alejandro Kirk, we get comments all the time. All right, we were live for the game today, reacting to it, and there were so many people hating on this guy, and I just simply do not understand it. We are talking about right now, this is the 6th best player in MLB in terms of fielding run value. He's the 2nd best catcher in all of baseball, defensively speaking, just behind Patrick Bailey over there on the San Francisco Giants. And on top of all of that, he actually has the highest batting average on the Toronto Blue Jays, other than Tyler Heineman, who has admittedly played in half of the games.
Yeah.
I just had no idea how you cannot look at Alejandro Kirk right now and just be like thrilled through the teeth that we have him extended, locked down here for time, because for me, that is the most underrated Toronto Blue Jay player.
He also probably runs faster than all of us in this room.
Oh, of course he does. Of course he does.
Just FYI.
And Nick, honestly, one of the things I think about when it comes to player development in baseball is that there's nothing like it in other sports. So in a lot of ways, fans will make a judgment on a player, and then they will stick with that judgment because they are not aware that a 23-year-old is going to develop over time. Right? And I mean, playing Major League Baseball is fucking hard. And especially when you go from AAA to the majors. And I know, Keegs, we got to kind of witness some of this in the spring, right? And I know you were on Baseball Town there in Dunedin. We had a blast. And Alan Roden, really high on him. I'm still high on him.
Me too.
Addison Barger last year, right? Had struggles. You can go through the list of Davis Schneider, who literally saved the season in 2023, is playing in AAA right now. So all of this to say, you know what? When it comes to player development, that has been probably the biggest knock on this front office and this organization. Are you starting to see positive gains in that aspect?
Yes, and I'm typically the last optimist in the room too, but it's Alejandro Kirk's a great example too of what we're just talking about. And I mean, Kirk, he signed for $25K, I think, out of Mexico.
Yeah.
And
They
I
weren't
still
even
remember
scouting him when they
No,
went down
not
there.
at all. And I still remember the first time, I think I've told this story at an old baseball town, but the first time I saw Alejandro Kirk, it was at the Clearwater, Philadelphia Phillies spring training stadium. And I remember it vividly because Richard Griffin, who's been media prior and after this, was working PR for the Blue Jays. And it was one of those games late in spring where prospects come around and fill innings. I did not know Alejandro Kirk yet. And the reference point for this story, when I say clubby, I mean a clubhouse employee who handles it. And we're standing in the clubhouse after the game, and this guy walks by in a towel, And I looked at the PR guy and I said, why the fuck is the clubby showering right now? Because, that was my first time seeing Alejandro Kirk, and I could not believe what I had just seen. He's gotten in better shape. But Kirky looks like he's 45 at this point, and like his teammates love to give him a hard time for that. It's a running joke. But he's an incredible development example by the Blue Jays. And this year, I mean, good Lord, like, look at the Dunedin Blue Jays down in Single A. They've been waiting forever for that fancy complex that they keep propping up to pay dividends. And the complex was never going to benefit Vladdy or Bo or George Sprain. Like, everywhere, no matter how much they want to PR or pump it, everywhere has a weight room. It's cool. But the benefit was always going to be from young 16 and 17-year-old high school and international. We're talking Dominican, Venezuelan prospects coming in, them spending their whole 4 or 5 year development path in that complex. And we're seeing that now in Dunedin. Their pitchers are out of this world.
Yeah.
Like Treya Savage and Bautista going down through there, Stanifer as well. And we're starting to see that very slowly. Now, ideally, they'd be closer to the big leagues, but the pitching prospects in the system look a hell of a lot better right now. And the position player prospects, that's a lot of P's in a row, are coming along. Arjun Namal is at the forefront of that. He's going to be a top 50 guy very soon.
Yes.
And what he's doing at his level, at his age, is incredible. So some of this, for recent years, the Blue Jays have, both publicly and privately, telling me I'm wrong, have been very eager to point to prospects like David Schneider or Ernie Clement, acquired externally, coming up as examples.
Yes.
Whereas I say, cool, raise your ceiling. Like, you need somebody who's going to develop into a star. Because that's when suddenly you've developed something internally and you take that $30 million and you spend it over here. That's when things get fun. And I think they're on that track now. Like, I really, really think that they are on a good player development track.
I would say, too, Keeks, that one of the good examples of that is the bullpen. Because
Absolutely.
Mason Fluharty, and this is a kid that I was so high on last year. I
You
watched
should
him in
have made
Buffalo.
opening day.
Yeah.
Each
So
one of
bad,
these
right?
guys saves you $5 million.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nick, you look like you were about to jump in there. What did you have on your mind?
Well, I wanted to actually ask Keegan a question about this because you were bringing up the pitchers, you were bringing up the pitching development. Now, I'm thinking that this is probably just a coincidence. However, in the past 5 years or so, the Toronto Blue Jays have had a terrible tendency to have a lot of their top pitching prospects.
A lot.
I know you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Go under the knife and get seriously injured for a long period of
Yeah.
time, right? And there's been so many names that we're getting behind, we're looking forward to. Ricky Tiedemann, I mean, God, what the hell happened to Nate Pearson? I mean, like, there's so many guys where it's like been.
That's so funny. I was just about to say, don't you say Big Nate's name.
But we just saw it very recently, a couple days ago, with Jake Bloss as well.
Yeah.
Is that something that's just a terrible, terrible coincidence, or do the Toronto Blue Jays need to actively work on their conditioning and that aspect of their developmental staff?
And Keeks, before you answer that, I do love how the fan base reacts sometimes, because I did see they announced it on Twitter, the Blue Jays announced it, and there was like 8 different comments being like, Ross Atkins fleeced again, how would he get an injured pitcher? He
Yeah.
should have known better. It's like, that's not how arm injuries work.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in sticking with initial evaluations. So, and I thought that was a hell of a trade, and maybe it doesn't work out. But like Jake Bloss is another bad example. And when I talk to people who are in charge, and the Blue Jays have overhauled how they develop pitching now, and the very basic, because I get tired of the 10-syllable words they try to throw around to hide simple ideas. But the very basic idea of what they're trying to do now is taking a little bit longer to build more consistent pitching. Instead of saying, holy shit, he throws his fastball 99, let's try for 101, boom, surgery.
Yeah.
They were a little too anxious and eager, I think, under their past philosophy, under their past idea. And I've spoken with a lot of those people lately, and it sounds a lot better. And it might not pay off today, but I think over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years it will. where they are going to take pictures, and Trey Savage is a great example. Cal Stephen is a great example. They'll both be in Dunedin, within a minute, but they should be. But looking at what they have and trying to maximize that between now and when they reach the big leagues, not between now and when they get promoted to high A. It was fast and eager. The Blue Jays will tell you, and Lord, they've told me that a lot of these are more high-ranking arms, but down through the system, it's not as many. But I'm going to pay attention to the arms that matter. Fuck me. I'm going to pay attention to the ones that are on the lists and the ones who can help the MLB team. And it's so important. And Ricky Tiedemann, who you mentioned, is a great example. And Ricky Tiedemann was a lesson for me, honestly, because I remember showing up to Dunedin last year, and Ricky is already a really impressive physical pitcher. And I remember walking into the clubhouse for the first time, and I've seen physical transformations. That was a holy shit. He looked like Bane, across his back. And in hindsight, it was way too much. In hindsight, now I know next time that a player does that, it's a problem. The human body, the human body's not designed to throw 100 with a 92-mile-an-hour slider. It's not supposed to. But Ricky, and I've talked to him about this, he pushed his body too far. Now when I saw him this spring,
he feels that way.
Definitely. And now he looks a little more like a human being. You might see in the real world. But his back was 5 feet wide. It was too much. And I think across the board, they're understanding. And man, look at Bassett, Barrios, Gosman. They're not all throwing 100. They're not all the most dominant stuff guys in the world, but they throw innings, and God, it's the most important thing. They've made money. Okay? I really think that we're in an era of Major League Baseball where the next 5-10 years, innings are going to be sexy again. Because it's going to get you paid.
Yeah.
All of these guys want to make money. They want to get that one contract. And this rotation is full of guys. Bowden Francis, good example. Mm-hmm. He believes in innings. Innings are going to get you paid again. It's going to swing back the trends.
Good. Nice.
Tyson, Kevin Gosman has had plenty of ups and downs this year. And
good,
obviously,
I get this one.
if this team is going to be a playoff team, I think it goes without saying, we need Kevin Gosman to be the Kevin Gosman we saw in 2023. How confident are you that he can get there?
I think Kevin Gosman's a veteran, right? He's not new to the block. He's been in the trenches before, right? He was with the Orioles. He scuttled around. He went to the Giants and kind of figured it out, right? He hasn't been like a Paul Skeens the entire way, right? He's had to mold himself. He's had to find himself. He's had to be that kind of guy. And the Blue Jays were so keen on him, they went after him multiple times, right? This is the guy they wanted, and they wanted him for numerous reasons. And I think when you look at Kevin Gosman, he was so dominant with the splitter, right? And then all of a sudden people started adapting. It was like, okay, well now I gotta adapt to it, and then he started throwing the slider, right? He knows his splitter is his pitch, he knows his fastball is his pitch, and I think, at the end of the day, you're facing Major League Baseball players. They're the top of the top. They're the best of the best, and at the end of the day, you need to execute. And for example, today we just saw him not on his game. We saw him not execute, and I think Blue Jays fans have been pretty lucky in the past, right? When you look at the past 5 years, I think 4 to 5 years the Blue Jays have had a finalist in the Cy Young, right? One of them won, right? They've had some really top end arms, and a couple guys that just kind of scuttled, right? And that's not abnormal across the league, right? To have everyone throwing a sub-3 ERA we've seen the Mariners do, that's abnormal, right? And so I think what's more so when you look at Kevin Gosman is you see a veteran guy who got hit up today. He's going to go back tomorrow, tomorrow, and he's going to look at the footage, and they're going to go, okay, well, what didn't work, right? And they're going to say, oh, this didn't work, right? And then they're going to adapt, and they're going to do it, right? And the same thing happened with Francis, right? When he got lit up, the 8 runs a couple starts ago, they went back to the footage, and they're like, okay, well, were you tipping something? Were you doing something? And they were like, okay, we found these things. We're going to adapt. And then he had a better start, right? So I think with Kevin Gosman, yeah, obviously you want him to be, the guy at the top of the lineup, the ace kind of guy, right? Because that's the money you're paying him, right? You want him to be that guy. But at the same time, this Blue Jays team has some veteran arms that can pick up the slack when a guy doesn't do well, right? And I think what kind of hurts in the moment is that we know that Max Scherzer's hurt right now. We know that the Saturday starts kind of being like Eric Lauer right now. They don't kind of have a guy that's going to be in that spot. And in the past, we've seen the Blue Jays have at least like a set rotation, right? Like we've seen them at least have some guys that they can go around and you knew who's coming around, right? And we just don't have that right now. So I think with Kevin Gausman, you can expect a bit of a turnaround. He's going to go back to the drawing board and figure something out. And then at the end of the day, it's their responsibility to come back and be able to do this. But again, they're not new. This isn't something new to them. This isn't foreign to them. They're going to come back and they're going to be able to put things on board. The only thing that they just need to do as a group is limit the home runs because you just can't keep doing that.
Do you guys think that we have a quote-unquote ace in the pitching staff?
We definitely do not. I don't want to be negative here, but I don't know if we have a legit strong number 2. I feel like we have like 4 number 3s in this rotation. Like 4 guys who can take the ball and go 170 innings, and you need those guys. Kevin Gausman was Bassett. You know what? Thank you. You shoved it in my face. Bassett definitely, probably we could call our number 2 right now, which also is something. That's also something.
See, because I think the thing too is the Blue Jays. It kind of goes again with the roller coaster of the season, right? Like Jose Barrios is a good example, right? Again, he struggled in his last start, but if you took away the 2 starts he had against the Orioles, like he's got like a sub-3 ERA. Like he handled the Boston Red Sox, and we kind of forget that, right? But that's the thing. Again, it's early in the season. These guys have under 10 starts to their belt, so there's a little bit of a sway. But at the end of the day, again, these are veteran guys, right? Like Chris Bassett, Jose Barrios. Like these are guys that go to the drawing board, and Jose Barrios will be the first one to tell you, like, I'm out there, like they're trying to take food off my family's plate. Like I'm going to war, and we saw that with Kyle Raleigh, right? Like this, like he was yelling at him, right? And we don't usually see that. So I think with these guys, again, they're veteran guys that know what they're doing. Execution kind of hasn't been there, and we see with the home runs, right? And Chris Bassett's been absolutely shoving lately. He's the kind of if the Blue Jays were in the playoffs and they needed a game start tomorrow, Chris Bassett's probably getting the ball, right? Yeah. And then the question is, who's number 2? And it's like, okay, well, that's where the ball gets thrown a little bit.
Max Scherzer. Speaking of Max Scherzer, Nick, where are you at on that signing in general? Do you think that just the experience and the veteran presence that he has given is worth the $15 million? Do you envision him contributing to this team in any meaningful way down the stretch here? Obviously, injuries we're just speculating at this point, but where do you think, where are you at on them bringing Scherzer in general?
You know what was worth $15 million for me? Granted, this is not my money, but $15 million. This was worth $15 million.
yeah.
That alone made the contract worth it for me.
I love the smirk he was doing while he did it.
It was so good. Listen,
Very concerned.
this was through and through. When the signing happened, I was talking to Adam, our co-host about this, and I was like, even if he doesn't even play a game, like I just think that the presence that he provides, the personality that he brings, the energy into that team, like he's a dog.
Yeah.
And I see they love to flash over to him on the broadcast very regularly, and it's like he's in there talking about Francis. He's in there, talking to somebody else, right? This is like you want to talk about somebody that knows ball.
Yeah.
That guy knows ball. And I just feel like, regardless of what he does, like, obviously, I would love to see him on the field again. I do think that he will provide us something. But even if he doesn't even pitch a single other inning for the Toronto Blue Jays, I still think it was a good signing. I'm still happy with it. I am excited to see Spencer Turnbull or whoever wants to take that 5th spot on top of that, though.
Keegs, I want to ask you a question about intangibles.
Baby.
Yeah, that's right. The things you can't
Threaten
put
him
your
with a good
hands
time.
on. So, you follow this team more than any other beat writer on the Toronto scene right now, without a doubt. You're almost at 162 games. Not quite, but almost. What are the vibes like in 2025? And is there a difference between last season and 2023? Tyson, stop laughing.
The backstory is the reason I'm laughing is because over the past few days, all of the baseball players that we talk to get asked this question, and all of them kind of go like,
So, what are the vibes like?
That was that sound.
It feels better, but at the same time, a lot of players, Chris Bassett, chattiest amongst them, has said a lot of times, listen, it's way better than last year. Last year there were problems that were going to keep vague and blurry, and I didn't sense those last year either. Right? So there's a bit of a narrative that you get to rewrite every year. I've been in shitty clubhouses. I started covering the team in 17, so I was around for 18.
You got to
19.
start with one.
Yeah. So yeah, I've covered a lot of those clubhouses where I go in and there's veterans who are more focused on playing FIFA at their locker than the game that night. I know what a shitty clubhouse looks like. This is not that. Like I really believe that the clubhouse is good. Honestly, I believe that John Schneider and the coaching staff are doing a better job this year than last year. It's not the best job in baseball, God, but it's better. And the players seem to think that. But at the same time, every team that wins the World Series has a couple assholes on it too. You know, so I think that the clubhouse is valuable. And we've seen that recently with Alejandro Kirk. Dalton Varsho spoke about this, and he doesn't do that for cheap. He said that he used the word mojo, which I like, which is a very un-Varsho word. But he said that like it feels different. When you're down 6 runs, you don't feel like, okay, like let's make dinner plans. You feel like, okay, how can we win this game? That matters. It really does matter. But clubhouse is often a thing that average to below average teams talk about. I don't hear a ton about the Dodgers clubhouse. You know, I don't hear a ton about the Yankees clubhouse when they're winning. So, would you rather a good clubhouse that's 22-15, or it's a tough balance, and I do sense that it's better. I really do, but you need to see the actual value of that. If there's any value of it, like quantifiable value, I do think it's what we've seen the last few days in terms of teams that can actually come back in games. The Blue Jays have sucked coming back in games. They sucked last year. That's what made the 15 and 16 teams so fun. You know, if they were down by 8 runs, whatever, they might hit a few home runs and come back. But that's what you need. And honestly, man, we talked about this. The very first thing you talked about tonight was how the Blue Jays can grab people back. And the 15 and 16 teams are forever going to be my examples because they had some real fuck you to them. You know, they had some attitude. They had some edge. They had some personalities, some for better, some for worse. But I think a lot of fans want to grab onto that, too. You know, clubhouse can mean a few different things. Maybe personality is a better word, and sometimes that's not exactly where it used to be.
Honest opinion here, Keeks. Is this team built? Did Atkins do a good enough job building this team where you look at it and you're like, you know what, I think they can get to the trade deadline within reach of the playoffs and bolster the lineup?
Yes, but that's too low a bar, I think. It's that is considered success in Toronto, and I don't think it should be. I mean, go for a division. God damn it, go for a division. And the third...
It feels open still.
It does feel open.
Yeah.
And the addition of the second and eventually the third wild card spot, I think are overall very good for baseball. But it varies from market to market. Now, if you are a lower budget, $100, $120 million roster team, that's when it's cool. That's when it's exciting. You can kind of scrap your way around, stay involved, and then go out and get that reliever or that 36-year-old slugger and take a run at the third spot. If you're spending $1 billion on your roster like the Blue Jays, like trying to get in for the second and third wild card spot doesn't do it for me. Because we've seen how that goes, 0-2, 0-2, 0-2, the last 3 times they've made it in. Like, I started covering the team in 2017. I haven't covered a playoff win. Come on. It's been a decade, right? So that's why you need to go for the division, because then you get a division series. That way you can make it beyond luck. If you lose a division series, the other team is probably better. We've seen, though, in best 2 out of 3s in the wild card series.
Yeah.
I mean, one bounce is kind of toast.
Yeah.
There's always an element of luck, but again, the teams that win don't talk about luck. So I think that the Blue Jays absolutely are in a good enough position with a quick little win streak somewhere to go to the wild card and boost up at the trade deadline. I think they'll go nuts at the trade deadline. I really do, if they're close. But someday that's got to be not enough. I don't know when that year is going to come. I keep waiting for it when they can make a real run at the division. But maybe this year, the Yankees are not running away with it.
I mean, one thing I will give Atkins credit for this offseason is that for the first time in what feels like forever, he actually addressed the areas of need in a uncreative way. And I'm all for it. Give me just fucking, here's a square peg for a square, freaking, like, put it in there, right? Which, Anthony Santander, they needed power, went out and got power. Needed bullpen help, went out and got Jeff Hoffman. And that is my next question here, which is for you, Nick. Jeff Hoffman has been an incredible acquisition, but has also still shown that he's not perfect. Where are you at on Jeff Hoffman? He is definitely good enough, correct? Where do you feel some of these chinks in the armor have come from? Is it overuse?
I really think it's as simple as that. I mean, we watched the guy for his first 16 innings of ball be like one of the most dominant closers in all of baseball, and then the last 2 or 3 innings that he's played, it's been blow up baseball. I mean, I just think that he is getting a little overworked. Now, granted, I was looking at some of the numbers for some of the other closers out there, some of the other, big workhorses in the bullpen. He's not so far removed from them, and there are still a lot of guys doing well, but I genuinely just think that, you're talking about a guy that's gone 2 innings here, 2 innings there, like consistently. The stuff does look phenomenal. He does look dominant when he's on there. I still have 100% faith in him. I do think that I would like to see a stretch of ball games where the Toronto Blue Jays win like they did in Seattle, and it doesn't need to be this, nail biter of a finish where, we're in the 9th and we have to go into the 10th again and it's Jeff Hoffman still. Those are fun when we win, but I mean, that's obviously going to tire out your guy. So I still believe in him wholeheartedly, but yeah, a little bit of a rest period for him to regain his mojo would be nice.
All right, we are now going to get to the question and answer portion of the show here. If I can get my lovely wife Taylor up here to grab the microphone, and we're going to start here up front with the ladies here.
All right.
Did you like it? Is that what you were doing?
Apparently, that's
Apparently.
That's it.
I was thinking 2 things. I don't know whether to go fantasy baseball or Andres Jimenez. Okay, so let's pretend the trade deadline is looming now. Everybody's kind of bunched up like they are in the sucky, American League East, which is not what we expected, but we're in contention. We're close. What would be your fantasy trade that would make the Jays a whole lot better? Who would we go get, and what's it going to cost us?
Ooh, boy. I think you need.
I can't.
I'll-
Maybe 2 trades.
I'll take the under on whatever we're talking about from Max Scherzer. So probably a starter. I mean, my goodness, a legitimate starter. Like who's going to be the hot rental starter this year? Probably.
Yeah.
Sugano on
Like
the
a
Orioles.
Yeah,
Give me that guy.
because when you look at the lineup, I feel like so many of the additions on the lineup would be incremental. Because if you were looking to add a power hitting corner outfielder, okay, who is that over top of Barger? Who is that over top of who they already have in that lineup? And I feel like a lot of it's incremental, but the pitching is a little shakier. Of course, I think they're going to add another back-end arm. I think the Jordan Hicks deal is a nice example, and they gave up Roberts and Kloffenstein. Kloffenstein's back in the organization.
Roberts just went on the
He had
IL.
surgery today, right? So trade your prospects, Jesus. But I think the Jays will be in a way better position to trade prospects than I thought they would coming into the year. Way better. And I know they get talked about as a bad farm system, but you're not trading for Ohtani. You can trade for who you want. And I really think another starter down the stretch would be, kind of, I guess, going back to like that Taiwan Walker example from back in the day, Robbie Ray when they traded for him. But I'm on pitching, and I didn't expect I'd be on pitching, which is strange.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I think a starter would go a long way. I mean, I'm not negative on this starting staff, by the way. I know that the comment I made about them all being number 3s made it feel that
This is
way.
recorded, and you're going to be held accountable.
But I am fine with a stable full of number 3s if we go out and get a number 1.
Yeah.
I don't have a name for you. you're going to need to look at some of the teams that are have-nots at the time and hope that there is an expiring contract or a year-and-a-half contract where a team is prepared to move them for some starting or for some prospects. And you know what? Can we get Pete Alonso?
I have a lame answer, but I take a middle relief pitcher, so that way we don't have to deal with the Richard Love ladies and the Jacob Barnes and the Jose Reyes. Because here's the thing, we've seen the Blue Jays have like 90% of a good bullpen, and then one guy who's just one pitch away from making it an 8-3 game.
Jeff Hoffman?
And the problem is that when you look at the current state, like Nick Sandlin's hurt, right? And Eric Swanson's hurt, Ryan Burr's hurt, right? And we've seen Sandlin get used a lot, and when he gets back, it's going to be great, right? But the problem is that A, you're going to deal with injuries all season, and B, you can't guarantee that Eric Swanson and Ryan Burr are going to be these guys that we've used to seeing. Like, Eric Swanson was so fantastic in 2023, and then, granted in 2024, his child got hit by a car, which is awful, right? And then he got hurt, he was hurt to start the year, had to go to AAA, he was going through the motions, right? And you can't guarantee that he's going to return to form, and you can't guarantee that Nick Sandler is going to return to form, and you can't guarantee that Jimmy Garcia is going to take a comeback or more. So, for me, you take, I know, terrible example, right? For me, you get some more veteran depth, right? Like a David Robertson, right? I know he's still out there, but you get like a middle relief guy who acts almost like if he was on the Athletics, he'd be their closer. Bad example, 'cause amazing.
Ross Atkins would love this answer so much, my man. You're like, raise the floor, raise the floor.
But here's the thing. When Jose Urena came in today, the game was still manageable. When he left the game, it wasn't. And
what's funny is even after that happened and he gave up that 2-run bomb, I'm like, watch this be an 8-6 game.
Right, but that's what I mean, right? And it's not a sexy answer. It's not a Dylan Cease. It's not a Pete Alonso. But and you made a good example of Jordan Hicks, right? They didn't really need a Jordan Hicks at the time. He was great. Don't get me wrong. They also needed a couple other things. But Jordan Hicks came in and was like a dominant force down the stretch for the Jays. And the Blue Jays need something like that this go around to supplement the fact that they have one rotating spot in that bullpen that's just next guy up, next guy up, next guy. Nope, not you. Next guy. You know what I mean? And it just needs to stop one day.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's only a manageable game if the offense can hit, and that is why we need Rafael Devers. I'm kidding. Kind of.
No, bring me the biggest baby in the world. I want him.
No, I won't play third. No, I won't play DH. No, I won't play first. No breaks. It's baseball.
$300 million. Who you told?
I get paid a lot less and do what I'm told.
All right, folks. Do we have another question here? Let's see here. Let's go to the back here. We'll come back here.
No worries.
Yeah, right.
The question wasn't good enough. They skipped it.
I know. It was great though.
So it's been a season and a quarter now since they made the dimensions changes out in outfield, and I was just wondering if you guys have noticed any specific trends that have changed versus the old, flat.
Remember home runs?
Wow.
More fun catches at center field.
Yeah. I remember thinking that those would kill Vladdy because he hits so many low home runs,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
I don't think it's killed him too much. Maybe one or two have been caught. I've asked a couple Blue Jays people. They think it breaks mostly even. It's kind of today we were asking John Schneider about roof open and roof closed. And he's like, I'm not a weatherman. I don't know. But the entire point when they did it and they modeled out 1 billion potential fly balls, all the fancy stuff, was to keep it pretty close to even. They didn't want to be Baltimore and just say screw home runs to left field. I really worried it would hurt Vlad. The home run today was low, low, low.
Yeah.
And that can change drastically where it's a home run. I haven't noticed it too much. A lot of guys, I'm trying to think around the roster, are more Barges home run's a home run anywhere, but it's right around even for me. I don't think, and I'm glad they didn't react to trying to be like, hey, we have pitchers now, let's make it a pitcher's park. I liked Toronto a lot more when it was viewed as a bit of a launching pad. And I'm in favor of a bandbox home run stadium anywhere, especially if, A, if you're a good power hitting team, B, if you just need the help, which they probably do now. But Vladdy was my big worry, and I think it's been okay, but it's those left and right centers, left and right center field where it's in closer but higher up. That's kind of where you might steal a couple.
Yeah, and I think you've seen too, right? Like there's been a few instances where you're like, oh, this is a double and it's not a home run anymore. But you're not like, man, like every night this should have been a home run. Like the one that Bichette had the other day where it like hit the fence and they had to go to review, right? Like that would have been a home run before, right? And we've seen Varsho make catches out there out the wall, right? And whether or not that would have been caught when the field dimensions were less. Like it's a good question, because I think at the end of the day, the reason you have to ask that question is because no one's addressed it. And the reason no one's addressed it is because no one's seen the difference, right? Which isn't a bad thing, right? Like what Keegan said. And like we've seen Dalton Varsho hit that screamer home run the other day, right? Like I think it hasn't made a big enough difference, but you've definitely seen a couple plays here and there where it's like, oh yeah, maybe that was a home run versus now it's a double or a triple or a single if the guy's not hustling out of first. No names mentioned.
The one thing I've noticed is that everyone made it seem like the bullpen being so accessible to the crowd was going to be some big advantage for Toronto fans, and that we were going to be nasty and ugly. And I think,
Mark Shapiro knew that. Like, we'll fuck them up. Like,
yeah.
It has not been a thing. No, we don't live in Philadelphia.
No, it's the calmest. People are waving.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was breathing too loud when you threw that ball. When you threw that ball there.
All right, other questions there, folks? Up front?
All right.
I don't need a microphone.
Oh, you don't know that? Wow, let's get everyone to hear you good.
Okay. I believe the reason that we're not winning is because of the crowd.
Ooh.
I believe, okay, exactly, or lack thereof, but like, I believe in energy. So we went to the Seattle games. We were lucky enough to go, and the energy was great. I mean, like, everybody was cheering and stuff like that. Today, like, nobody was doing anything. Like, they don't even have the let's go home, the recording.
The game offs are so...
And I'm sitting there and I'm screaming, I'm clapping when it's, 2 strikes and.
It's what happens when you spend $500 million on a stadium to make it so you don't need to watch a game.
There you go.
Okay,
you don't like the mini raves they have?
all that being said, if they watch the crowd, maybe like the announcers could do something about being, connected to what's going on the field.
Yeah.
Seriously, I was.
It's a great
I'm a big
observation.
energy, right?
Absolutely.
I'm a huge hater. It's been brought to my attention that the game ops staff at the Rogers Center may not like me. Because apparently I've tweeted too much. But, I mean, the bases are loaded in the bottom of the 8th. I don't need to be told to clap my hands. Jesus. Because people are already... Seattle's a great example. And Seattle has always felt very organic to me. And it feels like a bit of a party that's allowed to play out over 3 hours. Whereas Toronto is more do this, do that. Dance to your left, dance to your right, and ooh, it gets me going. It was a night mode Friday the other day, and I opened Schneider's pregame press conference by asking him who his favorite DJ was on City Connect Fridays, and he looked at me and said, "Keeks, don't get me in trouble." So it's like, I think everyone involved kind of knows that it's like a bit
It's a
much, but it's a real conscious choice to attract, and when those renovations were made, I was probably harder than I should have been because it's not for me. If I go to a ball game, I want to sit quietly and stare. Even if I watch a football game at home, I am sitting quietly and staring. And it looks like I'm miserable. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, I love it.
You like baseball.
Exactly. So a lot of this has been geared towards going to the Corona rooftop patio and having 6 $21 cocktails. And that must be where the money is. But it does not feel like... When's the last time... This is the best way to say it. When is the last time where it felt like the crowd there, and I want to be careful because I love Blue Jays fans. They show up and they pay a lot of money, But the last time it felt like a crowd was on top of a pitcher or really fucking with the other team and on top of them. You can have that intimidation factor. And it's real. Like, I've felt it at a million other stadiums. But it's not something I blame the fans for, but it's more of the conscious rebranding of what it means to go to a baseball game, honestly, in the city.
I have a bit of a theory on this.
Here, let's
I was
let
gonna say,
everyone
I
hear
can
you.
project.
Oh,
Because they've gone through all of the renovations, and now everything's very club, which means it's a lot of corporate. So I go to a ridiculous amount of games. I need a 12-step program. But I have been in sections where it's like all the people around me, it's like, oh yeah, our boss gave us the tickets. They have no clue. The guy behind me today was chastising Class A for not making the catch in the field. And I had to turn around at one point and say, he's not playing. He's not playing, that's Santander. But yeah, it's like, I feel like not the real fans, that's such a gross thing to say it, but
Absolutely.
they are pricing the real fans, the diehard fans, out of the market.
Maple Leafs lower bowl.
I was gonna
Maple
say
Leafs
Yeah.
lower bowl.
And that
Exactly.
affects-
and that's not helping either,
No.
right? Like the Maple Leafs being in the playoffs
Yes.
still isn't helping because if
The oversight.
and we I mean, true, fair enough. But like we were talking beforehand here, it's like if you had to choose between a Maple Leafs playoff game and a Blue Jays work from dome versus the Rays, it's a coin. No, I'm kidding. You're picking the Maple Leafs, right? And there is a bit to that, right? But at the end of the day, and again, it's a bit jokey when it's like, you know, you're sitting there and all of a sudden it's like DJ adjective noun blah blah blah. Like it's just and then all of a sudden it just kind of gets monotone, right? Like and I've been fortunate enough to go to a few different stadiums, not in a media setting, but just as a fan. And Keegan's right. Like there's like when if Jeff Hoffman was struggling, they'd be like, it's all your fault, like, you know, like, and the Blue Jays, it just doesn't have that, and maybe it's just because the voices don't carry from the Corona rooftop patio or from the Heinz Club or from the Wiener Mobile thing that they have in the corner, right? And again, at the end of the day, it's a business, right? And players know that, fans know that, executives know that, right? Like it is a business at the end of the day, but it's still at the same time, the business is better when the team wins and fans show up when the team wins, and also putting a 500, level 500 baseball team isn't going to bring all the fans. So winning fixes that.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for being here. We got another show coming in. You guys have been amazing. One more time for Nick, Tyson, and Keegan, everybody. Keegan Matheson's book, The Franchise, coming out June 2nd, available right now on pre-order. Thanks again, guys.
He didn't bring any to give away, I asked.
Thank you, Scott.
All right.
Thank you, Scott.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, folks. Next Baseball Town is going to be June 12th. We have Arash Madani. We have Daniele Franceschi from the Fan 590, and we also have Show Ali from the Fan 590. Again, June 12th. Put it in your calendar. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Take care of yourselves.
The sun came out today. You're born again. There's new grass on the field. Down the third and headed for home. It's a brown-eyed handsome man. In a wife and understand the way I feel. Oh, put it on. I'm ready to play.
Do you want next show, like me to get like pictures and stuff, like you guys make sure you Oh, that would be awesome. Okay, yeah, man. Do that next. We'll talk to you guys in a second.
I'm like, plug your book.